Hello and welcome to Issues and Insight, the show that keeps you posted on everything great going on in our community. I'm your host, Kendra Scott, and we're thrilled you could tune in today. The high school basketball season may officially be over, but here in Kentucky, we are always thinking about basketball, talking about it, planning, recapping the season, and gearing up for next year's tournament time. So basketball, basically, it's what we do. It's our religion. E-Town is home to the Kentucky High School Basketball Hall of Fame, and we are blessed to have it right here in our community. It is the mecca of high school basketball hoops, and we are honored today to have with us some very special folks to talk a little bit not only about the Hall of Fame, about two successful programs right here in our back door. So please help me welcome Mr. Paul Najjar. He is the CEO of the Kentucky High School Basketball Hall of Fame, and along with him we have two superstar coaches who may one day find themselves in the Hall of Fame. Please welcome from E-Town High School, Coach Donnie Sweeney.
Thank you.
And from John Hardin High School, Coach Jared McCurry.
Thank you.
Welcome, all of you. We're glad to have you. I'm feeling like a little bit nervous because all this greatness right here. Superstar, up close and personal.
Thanks for having us, Kendra. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you both thank all three of you very much for being here. And we know you're probably a little bit tired because the season is officially over, but that just means that planning starts beginning for summer and camps and all the good stuff that goes on, training, conditioning, and so I know you don't get a lot of time to wind down, but let's just recap that really successful seasons that you had before you start planning. So, Donnie, talk a little bit about the dynasty of E-Town girls basketball. You've been a part of it now for almost 2 decades, on the sidelines as an assistant and now the head coach for past 2 years. And your record is an amazing 62-7. I mean, that is phenomenal. So, what are the keys to your team's success?
Good players.
I'd say they're great.
I mean, it's the thing with this year's group was they epitomized team, and they were fun to be around. They were fun to be around in practice. They were fun to be around outside of practice, and they enjoyed being together. And I think that showed in games, and I think it shows, in the hallways at school. That's who they hang out with. That's their family. And I thought that was a major factor in this year's run, because they played for each other, and they played so well together.
Yes, and have these girls been playing together a long time? Do they all kind of grow up together?
Yeah, that's with our system and with our district, we start with our Little League program, and many of these kids came up through our Little League program, and that's something rewarding for us to see that hey, we got this Little League program, and we're building, and we're starting when they're in kindergarten, and hopefully this group that's getting ready to graduate, these seniors, have seen E-Town win the district championship every year, all 13 years from kindergarten to 12th grade, and that's something that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Does that put an extra layer of pressure to keep that going? Do you feel that?
We honestly don't talk about it, and we don't think about it, but I think that's something that these seniors can look back on, and that's something very special for them. It makes a big target on our backs for those of us who are coming back, but the seniors can look back on it as something that's very special for them.
That's quite an accomplishment. So, and I guess it kind of becomes like you just expect it every year. Oh, E-Town's going to win the district again.
It's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy. John Hardin had they played us tough in that district championship game, and we knew it was going to be a tough game. And Coach Smith, who's since resigned, he did a great job with them, and it was just fun going against them.
And that's the cool thing, is that all the teams are competitive in this area, so it's not like it's an easy win every season and you just automatically know you're going to get there. You really have to fight and win every single game. And is it hard going against that level of competition, game after game, week after week?
That's what we thrive on. It makes us better. We don't schedule teams purposefully that we can beat, that we know we can go in and win by 40 or whatever. We want to schedule good teams. We want to play good teams, because that's what, if you don't play good teams in the regular season, when it comes to postseason time, you're not going to be ready when it's crunch time and the game's on the line. You're
not prepared. Talk a little bit about your fan base and how does that help you?
Oh, our fans are great. They travel. We've got some specific people that will go wherever we go. They didn't make it to Disney World this year when we went down there, but they
probably
wanted to. but they will travel with us, and they're, it's good to know that we're going to have some support no matter where we go.
That's right. Well, Jared, let's talk about you. Of course, we all know you from your days playing, so congratulations, you made that awesome transition from player now to coach, and we feel like we've all just watched you grow up. But talk about just the powerhouse team that you all have. You compiled an 82-26 record under your leadership in just a short amount of time, and had a great Sweet 16 bid again this year. What would you say are the keys to the success of your program? Because everyone still says, well, John is still kind of a newer school. You might have transition kids, they're military, whatever, but year after year, you guys, you're there. So talk about what gets you all there.
Well, John's only been open 17 years, so we don't have the long historical tradition that E-Town has. We eventually want to get there, and it's just got a, I've put winners around me and my coaching staff. They've won at the high school level and as coaches, so I want to be surrounded by greatness and instill that into our kids, and it's just getting them to be committed. We don't have the Little League program from younger to older. Like you said, we get a lot of transition. So, we don't know who we're going to have year in and year out. But with the guys we have, we try to build that and get them committed and really just put in the work. Just this morning, we had morning workouts.
Oh, wow.
The week after the state tournament, I've got kids texting me, Coach, let's get back in the gym. So we've done morning workouts, and we've really established the kids being committed and being competitive and wanting to win.
That's great.
Kendra, he just mentioned, Coach, the state tournament, and in both teams, E-Town girls and the John Hardin boys faced tremendous competition and both bowed out in overtime games. How much did that, and it was an epic game. When you go 3 overtimes in a state tournament, those games are remembered indelibly. I mean, they are in your memory forever. And how much do you feel had, because the expectations are high. You are, and for both programs, the expectations are high, but a loss like that, a competition like that just it goes down to the wire once, twice, 3, 4 times to deal with. How much did that affect the readiness or the desire for the current group going forward?
We only had 2 seniors. We have a lot of guys coming back, 6 that played a lot of minutes in every game in the region and state, and it really hurt those kids. And because we really expected to do a lot more in the state tournament, I felt like we had the team to do a lot more. But you never know going to the state tournament. There's just so much more around, and I think those kids knew they should have done more, and that's they've got that burning sensation in them to really go out and work on the things that hurt us in the state tournament.
And Coach, same thing, Donnie?
The second round games have kind of been our bugaboo the last few times we've been to the state tournament, and this would so happen to be an overtime. There was one other one that was an overtime loss in that second round, and it hurts regardless. Anytime you lose, it doesn't matter if it's overtime or if it's in regulation. And it seems like the further you go, the more it hurts, because the closer you get, you're thinking we can get there.
Here, yeah.
And I hated it for our 3 seniors this year that it ended up that way. I was looking forward, hoping that we could get there and move on with this group, but Clark County made one more shot than we did, and a couple more shots than we did, and that just
it hurts. And how do you help them cope? How do you communicate that to those kids that the sun's going to rise tomorrow, and you get back out there? How do you help your players to cope, especially when they hear the criticism on the outside and the disappointment? How do you help them get over that?
We didn't shoot the ball well in that game, but we actually shot a better percentage than George Rogers Clark did. We actually made one more field goal than they did. But I think once they look back, they'll realize what a special year this was for them. We set a record for regular season wins with 28. With the schedule we had and the teams that we played, and Jared played a tough schedule. You look at his, he played several people that were in the top 10, top 20 all year long, and But that's how you get better. That's how you prepare yourself for those situations. And when you're in those situations, one team's got to win, one team's got to lose. And unfortunately for us on that day, it was we were the one that got beat.
Well, let's talk, though, about the successes and the greatness, because you do celebrate that. There's the highs and the lows. Talk about the benefits to the players of playing high school basketball. What do they gain from it? What do they walk away with for both of them?
There's so many life lessons you can learn through athletics, whether it be high school, whether it be growing up playing Little League and you keep moving on and wherever. It teaches how to work with other people. It teaches, at times, how to work with people you don't like, because you're going to have to do that in life regardless. And sometimes you may not like that teammate all the time, but you still know that they're your teammate and they're a family. And you don't, there's times you have arguments in your family and you have arguments with friends, and that's life. And you have to work through that. Discipline is one of the top things you can learn in athletics, and how to work ethic. And the list could go on and on. I'll leave some for Jared here.
And Jared, what do your players walk away with? What are the benefits?
On senior night, we ask our seniors to tell what they most remember about high school. And one of the things they always say is spending time with my teammates on Christmas tournament trips.
Aww.
And we usually try to do Christmas tournament before and after Christmas. We'll stay in hotels. We'll play big games, and that's funny because that's, you win ball games, but that's what they say. And, example this year, we had a kid move in from Mississippi, and Mickey's a senior. Those were our two seniors, and Mickey was going to be our only senior, but they ended up being best friends. And now they're inseparable everywhere you see them. And those are kind of relationships you build, and you're going to remember for the rest of your life. And to be able to go to the state tournament, these kids are going to remember this for the rest of their life.
Exactly. And so many kids, think about all the programs and the kids across the state that would trade places with them in a heartbit.
Right.
To be in their
So it's like Coach said, one day we'll look back, and these kids will too, and remember what a special, everything they did and were able to do, and be able to share those moments with those other teammates. They'll remember those for a lifetime.
That is incredible, because I want to talk about those games at the state tournament again, because I was at the Hall of Fame during your game, the second game of the first session. So it didn't start till 2 o'clock. It over 2 hours. It went about 2 hours, 15 minutes, and the end of the game and the overtime seemed to take forever. A lot of breaks, a lot of timeouts, a lot of free throws, a lot of stoppages of play. Your game, last game of the day, starts late and was almost 3 hours. The intensity and the focus, just talk about those moments and how valuable they are. You can play a game, you get a win, right? You play a game, you lose, whatever happens. But the value of playing under that much pressure repeatedly, where every possession, your game was incredible intensity. I mean, you had to earn every point, free throw line or bucket. You had to keep bouncing back from what looked like a celebration moment to, hey, we've got to dig back in. Talk about the value of those moments and how that will translate moving forward, because it's a lot of pressure.
We had a couple overtime games before that this season. We had one down at Disney World where we were playing a team out of Georgia who ended up being either one class champion or runner up in their level, and then we had one with Nelson County in the region tournament.
Right.
We were able to win both of those, but there's times in life that things happen, and it's another one of those life moments that something's going to hit you, whether it be a car accident, a family member passing away suddenly, or some tragic event. And you have to be able to move on. You have to be able to kind of refocus and get back to what your job at hand is. And that's what some of those moments teach. We led for the majority of that game unfortunately, with 53 seconds left, I made a bad coaching move, and they hit a shot. And the kid that hadn't hit a 3 all game hit one and tied it up. We had a shot to win it, or the last shot of the game, and had a chance. And that's at the end of regulation. They blocked the shot. They made a good play, and then in overtime we got down and had kind of foul, and that's kind of what took that kind of game. It's going to drag it out, and but those are life situations. You have to be able to bounce back because there's going to be times when you get knocked down. And I think it was Vince Lombardi that said, success isn't in falling down. Success is when you get back up, and how you handle that. You're not always going to win. Sometimes you're going to lose, and you got to be able to bounce back from that too in life.
Yeah, our game was just so up and down. It was just kind of like relief, and then
yeah, you were on an emotional roller coaster.
And it was, and put 16 to 18-year-old kids in that position, you never know how they're going to react. Not one of my kids had ever been in Rupp Arena in their entire life, so we try to go early in the early sessions and let them see it, and then we run out for warm-ups, and they're all looking up, and I'm like, oh no, we're in trouble. But I thought our kids played extremely hard. We didn't execute as much as we would have liked. Pikeville Boxing won Mickey the entire game, and Mickey's our leader, and our other role players had to step up, and I thought they did for the most part. I got there to the end, and they hit the big 3. We just didn't execute very well, and we've got to learn from that. As a coach, we learn too, and hopefully be in those situations again to do better. But when he hit the 3 to send it into overtime, I saw the kids' heads go down, and you never know how they're going to react. And as coaches, we got to keep them positive. Thought they came out the first overtime and did a good job, and then adversity again. Where we fouled a kid at the end, and then he stepped up and hit 3 big free throws. I even called a timeout, and that's kind of one of them down moments again. Right. And then you get back in it, start the third overtime. Mickey's played over 100 games. He only fouled out 1 time in his entire career, and then that was his 2nd time he fouled out. And he's your leader, and then Malik, you got 2 All-State players sitting right next to you in your third overtime. But
tough.
It was. I thought we still did a good job and had a chance to still tie it at the end. But those kids I think it's made them more hungry, being able to play in that game and experience it, and hopefully that'll help us for next year.
A lot of folks have followed your career, as you mentioned earlier, Kendra, and your professional career around all over the world playing. And how was your heart rate? You're a pretty calm guy. You're pretty measured. You've experienced a lot of life and a lot of basketball. But how was that managing for both of you? I know that you've been on the sideline as in first chair, and you were in first chair as an assistant for a long time and successful. But how do you manage that? Because your heart's got to be going, and you can't show it. I mean, these are young guys, like you said, and young ladies. How did you manage that?
I wanted to jump up and scream and yell. I don't have any hair to pull out, so. But if my kids see me do that, then they're going to react in the same way. If we're yelling at officials the entire game, the kids are going to think that's okay and be able to do it. So you got to stay positive with these kids. Like I said, 16 to 18-year-olds, they've never been in a position like this before. You want to stay calm. You want to be positive with them and tell them it's okay and go back out there and keep fighting. For me, I stopped getting nervous a long time ago. I still get excited, but the nervous part's over. I've been in a lot of situations, big games, but I still do get excited, and being in this position each year, you're able to be a little bit more calm and slow yourself down and understand the game better.
In the Hall of Fame, we have so many great moments that have celebrated, and we're lucky enough to have Rex Chapman in on our Monday. We wanted to invite both teams on our March bracket breakdown the Monday,
Yes.
the day after the selection, NCAA selection was announced, but you were having your 5th region banquet, and next year we got to get that changed,
There you
because
go.
I want the winning teams there to recognize. But Rex Chapman comes through and he sees a photo of himself and he said, "Yeah, I remember that game." He remembered the game of that photo, which is just a cutout. Now that's a pretty important picture, and I remember exactly what was happening. He talked about the guy he blew by on that play and how the team worked out. Your final memory from that game. I mean, you both are a good coach. To me, is an honest coach, and you both have said, "Hey, we all could have done better, me included." And how do you take that and incorporate it for yourself and your coaching staffs moving forward?
Well, that's part of life too, is improvement, constant improvement. We try to improve ourselves as teachers. We try to improve ourselves as coaches. We try to improve ourselves as people. And that's something we have to teach our kids to do. That it's, we always have to strive to get better. You can't ever be satisfied. I made a gamble. I took a gamble and played a triangle and 2 in that one possession, and didn't want their 2 best players to beat us, and they didn't, but somebody else made a shot, and that happens. Looking back, hey, if she misses a shot, it's a great call. If she made the shot, it should have gone man to man or something. But but those are situations that I hope our team can be in again, so that we can be ready for that when it comes up. I talked about the game down in Disney World when we went to overtime in the semifinal. We had a 21-point lead in the first half.
Wow.
In that game, and actually had to hit a contested layup at the buzzer to send it to overtime. So we were down, and then we ended up winning it in overtime. I mean, that team came back. They made obviously a huge run on us, and the kids kept fighting. They kept fighting to stay, and did what they had to do to get back in the game and to actually end up winning it. And Nelson County was kind of the same way. We struggled. Nelson County played some tremendous defense that night, and we didn't shoot the ball very well. And fortunately, Whitney Hay made a little runner there and got us back within 2, and then Karsten got the steal and hit the big 3 to tie it. And then, fortunately, in overtime, I didn't even realize it at the time, but we shut them out in overtime.
Took them
and I think that somebody said we finished the game on a 16-0 run with those 5 points, and then the 11 in overtime. And that's, you got to keep playing. You got to keep playing to the final buzzer, because anything can happen.
Saw a lot of that in the state tournament this year, for sure. Both of you experienced it, and then saw in other games as well. Overtime here, buzzer
during
beaters.
his game, I'm sitting here following it on Twitter, and I'm thinking, dang, I'm sitting on the end of my seat. So
Right.
I told my wife, I'm glad I'm
I
not
couldn't go to
Jared.
sleep. I had to stay. I stayed up for the whole. I mean, it was almost 3 hours, and
Yeah.
that just takes a. That's not an NBA game out there. That's
Right.
high school playing. It's almost 11 o'clock. What are we doing here? 11:15.
Yes, yes. Your game, we're also around the radio at the office. Everybody on pins and needles and trying to keep up on the phones because they're faster than the radio, and just craziness. Everybody
It's
gets
fun.
into
It's
the-
March Madness,
it is.
right? That's
and
what we do.
Everybody gets into it.
Yeah.
So I assume you all have already set goals for next season. Or are you working towards that now?
We are. We're scheduling our summer camps that we're going to with other schools, and we put on a big shootout for other teams to come in, and just to play some games, because we're going to lose seniors. He's going to lose Mickey and
Best players in
best
the state,
players,
yeah.
and so the next group's got to learn how to play together, and that's what summer ball's for, and just to kind of sit back and relax a little bit, and see how they handle the new group, and because we're going to have new people step up, and because those 3 seniors, you take out what they did on the floor, they did so much more off the floor, and so now we've got to take that and find new leaders with this next group, and that's you have fun with them in the summer and try to relax and do a lot of teaching and just have fun with them.
So it's not bad.
You just try to build chemistry in the summer. That's our big thing. just getting the guys, the group that you're going to have to play together and learn to play with each other. And, we don't do a whole lot of plays. We'll do a few plays for man and against a zone and really work on our man-to-man defense. But just trying to let them figure it out. It's the only time I sit down as a coach is in the summer. So kind of sit down and let them try to figure it out and work together and work through adversity, work through the good times.
And at the Hall of Fame, we hope, we're hoping to do, and especially in the upcoming season in the fall, is to get every team to have the opportunity to experience what we, our movie, the essence of the game. It's about 11 minutes long, and it's about that opportunity, that kid who dreams about winning the one trophy that is given to the girls, the one trophy that's given to the boys. They're not 4, they're not 6 classes, it's one. And the dream to see that, I know both of you will appreciate it as well as your respective rosters. Those kids will see something special, and we want to bring that in. We want to look at opportunities to work with the local schools to have a jamboree, a basketball jamboree type thing, and we've got some fun things upcoming too for our our off season and leading up to 2018-2019.
Well, we're excited about all of it. It's going to be great. And the museum just keeps growing and getting bigger and better.
Huge
and
march.
So much for folks. Yeah, huge march. You're probably
March
exhausted.
Madness was, just so many people had an opportunity. You guys obviously were a little busy, but we had so many great visitors and comments and little things we're going to be tweaking as we move through the years. We're probably going to have a great little addition on cheerleaders and cheer teams through the years. We're looking forward to putting something specific to Hardin County, not probably in photos, some old photos that we worked with the History Museum and Elvin Smith. Some really terrific vintage photos of the teams that came before. East Hardin, West Hardin as example, but every one of the teams, E-Town Catholic, John, North, everybody in Central, and to give those programs a little bit of memory, because so many people here love the game. I mean, they'll come in and they'll think, oh, I only have a little bit of time. Hour and a half later, well, what about this and what about that? They're still there, and it's a blast. It's so much fun.
When I was in school at E-Town and when Jared was playing, I didn't play basketball, but E-Town North Hardin. As big of a rivalry as that was when I was in school and when he was in school, if you went further back to E-Town Catholic, and those games at the TK Stone,
unbelievable.
I mean, everything, and I wasn't alive, Jared wasn't alive, but everything we hear, I mean, those games were nuts. And as loud as you can play a game TK Stone with those two, it was loud.
Insanity.
Yeah.
It was just an amazing atmosphere. I wish I could have been there.
Well, we're thrilled that we're down here in a part, and we're feeling that presence. Little by little, we keep hearing, hey, what about this? And of course, some of the greats from Coach Hardin McLean and Coach Wenzel and of course, Coach Bevers in the hall himself. But we're looking forward to so much more in the future and growing what we've already, what we've started.
Great.
I'd love to see some of these local business leaders who have some great resources that, to see if they could come together and build an arena here. They could host concerts, events, various things like that. Phenomenal. But bring the state tournament to the home of the Hall of Fame.
That's a great idea.
Well, hey, you're thinking big. You're thinking big, and we'll be thinking big with you.
Yes, we're going to have to save that for another show, because that is a whole show in itself. We've got to wrap up. But gosh, we can't thank you all enough for being here and sharing this momentum season with us. And we wish the best of luck to all of you in the future as next season rolls around. Best of luck to your players. We know some of them are going on to bigger and better things. And I think all of you all are going to end up in the Hall of Fame someday. So.